Our Baltimore Ravens are finally in the win column. And I, as the host of Ravens Rundown, I'm 1-0 so far. Pretty good start, if I do say so myself. We were live yesterday, had a ton of fun, and we'll be live for every single game this season. So subscribe, don't miss a moment. Got daily videos coming out, interactive Q&A mailbags, and again, every game of the regular season, I'll be right here in front of this camera, and we'll be hanging out watching the game all together as one flock, one family. So head over to youtube.com/RavensTV, subscribe to the channel. Don't miss a moment. Let's get into my winners and my losers from yesterday's preseason win against the Atlanta Falcons. My number one winner, it's got to be Josh Johnson. This should be everybody's number one winner because he played fantastic. I don't think Josh Johnson, in his 10 years of professional football, has had a half as proficient as he had yesterday against the Falcons. 11 for 11. 120 yards and a touchdown. And that's coming off a performance where he went 4 for 12 with 37 yards and no touchdowns. After last week, everybody was kind of asking, who's the quarterback 2 for this team? Who's it going to be? Josh Johnson was not dominant against the Eagles. He was not putting his name out there far in front of anybody else. But after yesterday's performance, man, he's got to be the QB2 on this roster, right? He's got to have solidified himself. He went perfect. And he was throwing some really good balls, too. It's not like they were just all checkdowns. It's not like they were just all, okay, give it to the wide receiver, let him make a play. No, he was throwing some darts in there. Hit Keith Kirkwood on a beautiful little deep post out into the left. Great game for Josh Johnson. Really starting to build confidence, I think, in this Ravens fan base that they might have found their QB2. Number 2. Our week 2 winners, it's Adisa Isaac. Draft pick out of Penn State. Haven't seen him so far. This was his first action in the preseason, and he looked really good. Now, if you look at the stat line, it might not seem like anything incredibly special, but he did so much that doesn't go in the statistics. He was pressuring the quarterback. He was forcing throws. He was forcing pressure. And to do that in your first game and your first couple snaps in the NFL, that was fantastic. Happy to see him back out there. Happy to see him making an impact this early. There was a couple times he was even held. I thought should have been a holding call. And if he wouldn't have been held, I think he would have gotten the sack. Without the 2 holdings, I think he has 2 sacks in that game. But just great from Adisa Isaac. We knew that he was being ramped up in practice over this past week or so. And so to see him out there, to see him make an impact, he's got to be one of my winners from yesterday's game. My third winner from yesterday's game, Beau Brade. Came into this game knowing, okay, he's got a little roster competition going on, right? Him or Sanusi Kane. Sanusi Kane didn't play, was dealing with that stinger injury from the first game against the Eagles. So it's up to Beau Brade. Okay, you can go make a name for yourself. You have an entire game to prove why you should get a roster spot over Sanusi Kane. And he played pretty dang well. Kind of had some ups and downs, but for the most part, made a lot of really good tackles. And man, I don't know if you guys noticed the same thing. Whenever he comes in there for a tackle, he flies in like a missile. I don't see him miss a lot of tackles at all. He had an interception, it was turned back. I thought it was an interception. He did fumble it on the return, and so that was kind of like a whole deal. And then he had a pretty bad holding call at the end of the game in the end zone. That's probably the biggest X on his performance. But for the most part, Beau Brade played great. He's just a proven playmaker and should be a proven depth piece for this Ravens team going into 2024. So you let me know. I've named 3 of mine. I've got 2 to go still. Who do you think was the biggest winner in the Ravens versus Falcons? Name them. I think it's Josh Johnson. I think those other 2 have a fighter's chance of being the biggest winner. Let me know who you think was the biggest winner in the comment section down below. My 4th biggest winner, David Ojabo. Another guy, kind of like Adisa Isaac. We hadn't seen him yet. And we knew his practices have been ramped up over the past couple weeks. Didn't play in last week's game. Thought the doctors were going to be able to clear him to play in this one, and we saw him. Now, he did cramp up a little bit towards the end of the game. Just got to take a little while to get into professional football shape. And, I mean, he's missing all these live reps at practice over the past couple weeks. And so That's not his fault, but man, it was great to see him. He did some great things against the run. Yes, we do at some point of this season need to see him step up and get to the quarterback a little bit. I thought he applied good pressure. There's a couple times where he just kind of had a free lane to Taylor Heineke or Paddock. He took advantage of it, got a couple QB hits on him. But for what he did in the run game tonight was fantastic because you'll see in a little bit, he was one of the only highlights in that run defense. My last winner was Dayton Wade again. Dayton Wade, 2 weeks in a row, making it on my winners and losers list after the preseason. He had 2 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown, 56 yards. That was his long touchdown of the day. Emory Jones delivered a strike to him. He ran at one of those awesome, just classic backyard football, with you and your buddies. The stop, turn, and then go. It was beautiful. Corner bit, he made him look silly. He was wide open. Emory threw a great ball, and he got 6 from it. Dayton Wade, week after week so far this preseason, has been on my winners list. We'll see. Same thing happens next week. Before we get into my losers, I want to talk about our sponsor, and that is Fanatics. They've got the coolest gear at the best prices. And right now, if you head to chatsports.com/Ravens hoodie, you can get this sick purple Baltimore Ravens hoodie for 50% off. Winter is coming, ladies and gentlemen. Nice days at the bank are going to be here in a little bit, but they'll be gone fast and it's going to be cold. So head on over to chatsports.com/Ravens hoodie and get yourself a Baltimore Ravens hoodie for 50% off. Now on to my losers. Number 1, it's got to be Devin Leary. And not necessarily because he played bad. He didn't play as bad even as last week, I thought. 3 for 5, 24 yards. He looked a little more decisive, made some good throws, a couple bad throws. But why he was a loser is because you just didn't see a lot of him. And I think if this coaching staff truly thought it was a battle for this QB2 position, they would have given Devin Leary the same amount of time they gave Josh Johnson. But they didn't. They gave Josh Johnson an entire half, and then Emory Jones came out and started the second half. Because I think it's pretty clear, coaching staff thinks Josh Johnson's the guy for the QB2 spot. Devin Leary, again, not a bad day, but I think after his performance against the Eagles last week, I think that took him out of the running for this QB2 position. But we'll see what happens next week in Green Bay. My next loser from yesterday's game is Owen Wright. Owen Wright is a guy that I came into that game really confident about and really excited to see because he had a great first game against the Eagles. But then 8 carries, 9 yards, 5 yards was his longest. And I would have said before this game, okay, I'm taking him over Rasheen Ali. I saw both of them perform. Thought Owen Wright outperformed Rasheen Ali. But then he kind of follows it up with this game. And for a guy fighting for a roster spot, you would have hoped a little bit more from. I was pretty confident in him. He didn't really show it to me. And that kind of goes into my next point. And my next loser was kind of the run offense as a whole. Chris Collier flashed at times. He looks really fast. 12 carries, 29 yards, 6 yards is his longest. John Kelly even flashed at times as well. Former Tennessee Volunteer. Picked him up 4 days ago? 5 carries, 21 yards. He has the best yards per carry. 8 yards was his longest. But just as a whole, it just seemed like this rushing offense just couldn't get it going. They averaged 2.6 yards per carry. And it was something that, man, if Josh Johnson wasn't on the way that he was, this offense would have looked the exact same as it did against the Eagles. But thank God he was. Because if he wasn't, there just wouldn't have been much this offense could do because running the ball was not it. And kind of speaking in that same breath, when you look over at the defensive side of the ball, the run defense really wasn't there. I know I'm kind of copping out and not choosing actual losers, just choosing things as a whole, but it's whatever. I don't think you guys disagree with me. The Falcons, 31 carries, 151 yards, and 4.9 yards per carry. Almost 5 yards a pop. And that's the thing. It's not like they were breaking off a couple 20, 15, maybe a 30-yard run at one point. The entire time it was 5 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards. 4 yards, 7 yards. That's all it was. And 31 carries. They knew it. They're feeding them all game long. And why not? If you're the Falcons, why not feed your running backs all game long when you're doing what you're doing, right? So run defense, one of my bigger losers of yesterday's game. But who is your biggest loser? You've heard mine. We've named our biggest winner. Who do you think the biggest loser was of yesterday's game? Let me know in the comment section down below. My last biggest loser. Now this one, this one's just funny. It was Younghoe Koo. 3 for 4 on field goals. He missed 1 for 4 on field goals. He missed 3 field goals? 3? I mean, he misses only 2 of those. The Falcons win this game. He makes all 3. They win by what? 8 points? He had a horrific game. And for a guy who just got paid too, and what, 3rd, 4th, 5th year in the league? Awful. Solely lost this game for the Atlanta Falcons. I loved it. I probably should have put him on my winners list because he was a winner for Ravens Rundown. I mean, you don't win that game without Younghoe Koo on the other side of the ball. And so, shout out to you, my friend. You are a real one. Hope you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for giving us that dub over the Falcons. And hey, a win's a win. Right, it's preseason. I know it doesn't matter at the end of the day, and we're all just waiting for the regular season, but it's still really good to see. It's still good to see when your defense has its back up against the wall, and they're going for a 2-point conversion to win the game, that you can get a stop. Tavius Robinson stepped up and got a stop. And there's a reason Younghoe Koo kicked 4 field goals, because the red zone defense was pretty good. A lot of bend, don't break out of them. So there's things to improve on before the season gets here, but there's also a lot of good from yesterday. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will be live on Saturday for the Green Bay Packers watch party. Hope you guys are with me. If you joined me yesterday when I was live, we all had a blast. That was so much fun. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a moment of the Baltimore Ravens.